My dad was a 450-pound Jewish mafioso cross-dresser. The cross-dressing was strictly professional, and the story there is that when I was about 4, growing up in Minneapolis, my dad bought a little corner bar down by the railroad tracks just south of downtown Minneapolis, and he emblazoned his image on the outside wall of the establishment and opened the doors of Big Al's Bar. Now, just the night before, a club that catered to a male gay clientele had lost their license, and that group of men said, "Let's go down to Big Al's." And when my dad opened his bar that evening, he was full of an appreciative clientele that he served and worked with for the rest of his professional life. And in his role as the manager of Big Al's, he was also the MC. So I have vivid images of my dad in red sequins with a wig and a beard and as Bride of Frankenstein and many other costumes over the years. And business was really good. Eventually he sold Big Al's and he bought a larger place downtown, the Gay 90s. And the Gay 90s was actually 2 clubs. There was one side with a floor show and a restaurant and live music and strippers and of course female impersonators. And on the other side, under the same liquor license, was an intimate little gay bar. When you own this kind of a business in a metropolitan center, it isn't very long before you get an offer that you can't refuse. And my dad didn't refuse that offer. And within a short period of time, his income stream was supplemented by a brothel and a small fencing operation, which refers to selling stolen goods. That all came out of the front office. And when your family grows in this way, you get more aunts and uncles than you had before. My Aunt Renee was the hostess at the club at the Gay 90s, but she also fixed up the strippers with gentlemen to entertain. And my Uncle Cal, the floor man, was also the fence in charge of receiving and selling stolen goods. And my Uncle Lee was actually the MC of the floor show until he had his sex reassignment surgery and became my Auntie Lee. How was this for me as a kid? Well, it's your dad. These are his friends. This is where he works. This is how it is. What do I have really to compare it to? Except for the Hebrew school and the Sunday school and the Saturday school that they were sending me off to day after day after day, which they talked about completely different subjects than female impersonators, completely different. So it was confusing. It was also kind of cool, to be honest, to have power, to have money, to have every physical thing that I could want: stolen merchandise, new appliances, drink and drugs. Whatever was desired was available. But there was one moment I remember when I was about 16. I was sitting in my newly renovated bedroom, and I saw that the green shag carpeting and the car out front were paid for by girls on their backs. And I started paying attention to what I had heard in Hebrew school, and I heard about a value system that wasn't just about meeting all of your physical needs, that there was something else that might be also part of human nature and part of a purposeful, interesting, and meaningful life. And I moved in that direction. My dad was more comfortable when I was sleeping around than when I started dressing modestly. After all these years, I have to say that I learned a lot from my dad. I really did. And not all of it is something that I use every day in my work life, such as breaking into cars. But there are some things that I learned from my dad that I do use every day, and that here's one of them. that the janitor is often the most indispensable and honorable person in a joint, and that whatever your place of work is, all the work that is important and necessary for that work to go on is part of your job, and none of it is beneath you. And that is a lesson that I learn every day in my current job as a rabbi, in my current joint, Temple Israel in Greenfield.